Well, welcome back. Another big hour of Friday Live on this February 10th, 2023. I'm Jim.
And this is Cheryl. Great to be with you.
Happy to have you back. And coming up this hour, we're going to have our gospel reading for the sixth Sunday in Ordinary Time. And our reflection today is by Dr. Scott Hahn. And then a little later on, we'll be joined by Kathleen Brady from St. Rose Parish in Belmar. They have a women's welcome retreat coming up, and we want to hear all about that. So it's kind of a ladies' day here.
And I hear there's a lot of great interest. So we're going to find out exactly why, and we'll find out exactly how you can get yourself there.
Sounds great. So Kathleen will be joining us a little later on. But first, we will have our gospel reading, as I said, for the sixth Sunday in Ordinary Time. And then Dr. Scott Hahn will give the reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, I tell you, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to your ancestors, you shall not kill, and whoever kills will be liable to judgment. But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery, but I say to you, everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Again, you have heard that it was said to your ancestors, do not take a false oath, but make good to the Lord all that you vow. But I say to you, do not swear at all. Let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no. Anything more is from the evil one. The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This Sunday's readings shed light on the meaning of the old law. Jesus insists that he has not come to abolish it, yet he has given us a new law. What does this mean for us and how we live our everyday lives? What should guide our moral decisions? Find out more next on Breaking the Bread. Jesus tells us in the gospel this Sunday that he has come not to abolish, but to fulfill the law of Moses and the teaching of the prophets. His gospel reveals the deeper meaning and purpose of the Ten Commandments and the entire moral law of the Old Testament. But his gospel also transcends the law. He demands a morality far greater than that accomplished by the most pious of Jews, the scribes and Pharisees. Outward observance of the law is not enough. It is not enough that we do not murder, commit adultery, divorce, or lie. The law of the new covenant is a law that God writes on the heart. The heart is the seat of our motivations, the place from which our words and actions proceed. Jesus this week calls us to train our hearts, to master our passions and emotions. And Jesus demands the full obedience of our hearts. He calls us to love God with all our hearts and to do his will from the heart. God never asks more of us than we are capable. That's the message of this Sunday's first reading. It's up for us to choose life over death, to choose the waters of eternal life over the fires of ungodliness and sin. By his life, death, and resurrection, Jesus has shown us that it is possible to keep his commandments. For in baptism, he's given us his Spirit that his law might be fulfilled in us. The wisdom of the gospel surpasses all the wisdom of this age that is passing away, as St. Paul tells us in this Sunday's epistle. The revelation of this wisdom fulfills God's plan from before all ages. For love inspires more than law requires. So let us trust in this wisdom and live by his kingdom law of love. As we do in this Sunday's psalm, let us pray that we grow in being better able to live his gospel and to seek the Father with all our heart. This is Scott Hahn for Breaking the Bread.
Breaking the Bread is a production of the St. Paul Center for Biblical Theology. If you'd like to receive written copies of Dr. Hahn's reflections on the Sunday Mass readings, you can contact us by email at staff@salvationhistory.com or call us at 740-264-9535. That's 740-264-9535.
that they may see the good that we do and give glory to God. Blessed are they who are meek and humble, they will inherit the earth. Bless us, O Lord, make us meek and humble. Bless us, O Lord, our God. We are the light of the world. May our light shine before all, that they may see the good that we do and give glory to God. Blessed are they who will mourn in sorrow, they will be comforted. Bless us, O Lord, when we share their sorrow. Bless us, O Lord, our God. We are the light of the world. May our light shine before all, that they may see the good that we do and give glory to God. Blessed are they who bring peace among us. They are the children of God. Bless us, O Lord, may your peace be with us. Bless us, O Lord, our God. We are the light of the world. May our light shine before all, that they may see the good that we do and give glory to God. And give glory to God. And give glory to God. Blessed are they. Blessed are they. Blessed are
All right, welcome back on this February 10th. I haven't been out since this morning, but you drove your pickup truck down here today.
Oh my goodness! Did you share? With
I didn't
the
share
listeners?
what you decided. Once you came back from Phoenix, you decided to drive a pickup truck.
That's right. And all I need now are the boots and the cowboy hat. I don't know whether to sing "Take Me Home, Country Roads" or "I've Got the Power." This is the largest pickup truck that I've ever seen. But rewind the tape for one moment. We came back from vacation and my car was not operating well, like coughing and choking and stalling out. I couldn't go 10 feet without it like dying. And so they've had it, I guess, a whole
Well, it was Monday. We brought it up to them,
week
right?
now. And at first they thought they fixed it. And then I couldn't even drive it out of the parking lot. It was doing the same thing. So they, oh, well, we better keep it and do another diagnostic. And then the next phone call, I heard you on the phone with him. The guy was on speakerphone and he was talking about like draining something, and then they hooked it up to an IV. I thought,
Yeah,
wait a
they
minute,
said the
are you
fuels-
talking to the vet
they
or
said
to
the-
the car technician?
They said the fuel smelled bad.
Yeah,
So they thought there was bad fuel in the car.
right. So they drained where
They,
the fuel.
but they had an IV. They went to another gas tank and fed the car that way. And he said the car was running fine
Via an
through
IV.
the IV.
But now they called me this morning and they said it's the fuel pump itself. So in addition to the bad fuel,
Maybe the bad fuel messed up the fuel pump.
I don't know. But I mean, each one, the cash register clicks a few more ticks.
No, they've been pretty good though. They've been saying we're not going to charge you for this. We
Yeah.
feel bad, but then the
And
whole
they're-
point is that
The whole point was where the place is, it's across from an enterprise, and they have to deal with the same make
the dealer, yeah.
of the dealership. So they said they'll rent you a car, and they're covering the rental. I mean, like you said, they've been wonderful.
Yeah.
And so they're covering the rental, but the only rental they had in the yard on such short notice was this huge Titan, if you're familiar with. I am not. A Titan, it's the biggest truck I have ever seen. The double cab where you could have all these passengers, a huge, let me tell you, If you need furniture moved, I'm your gal
Yeah.
right now.
Mhm.
Just hook me up. It's all I can do to pull myself into it. I feel like I'm doing pull-ups at the gym.
Mhm.
I got to yank my body in there. And then it's fun getting out because I turn to the side and I just slide right out of there. Whee! And I'm on the ground. So with that, I own the road. Everyone's afraid of me.
Yeah. You can haul some cargo in the back on your flatbed.
I ought to be drinking beer and eating wings or
Have
something.
a shotgun back there.
Oh my gosh.
You feel right
And
at home.
When he showed it to me out the window, I really thought he was joking. You
Yeah.
know, there I was, little church lady ready to go
Yeah,
play.
we're not big people.
Yeah, no. Little church
We're
lady
not big people.
driving this big monster truck.
Well, that happened to us on vacation because we got at the airport, went to the car rental place, and and I usually ask for a small SUV just so I can get in and out of it easily without
easier.
compact cars. But they didn't have that. They had a larger. It was a Dodge Durango, and I said, we opened the door. I said, "How do you get in this? You had to step up. We had to pull ourselves in and out of this vehicle every time we got in and out of it.
And then you had a bright idea. Well, let's get a little step
A little
stool.
step stool.
So we could use the step stool. You'd be in the vehicle, but then the step stool is still down on the ground.
Yeah, so
Then
I
what
said,
do you
I said, tie a rope to it. Pull it up.
Yeehaw.
But it was
So-
one of those cars. We picked it up from the airport. We're driving from the rental place to the house we're going to stay at, and we're on the road. And all of a sudden, go to a red light, and I stopped the car, and then the car just turned off.
Right.
And I
Dead
thought it was
silent.
I grew up driving a Ford Pinto, so when that happened, you were done.
You knew there was a
stalled,
problem.
There's an issue. So the car stopped, and I thought, oh no, and I'm shifting, and anyway, it's this built-in green fuel saver
Right.
thing, so it
Yeah.
shuts itself off when it decides it doesn't want to use fuel. And then when you take your foot off the brake, it starts up again. I didn't know that.
It's this ecological fuel
I right away
system.
put it in park, thinking, okay, I got to restart the car.
Right, but it starts
It
itself.
started itself, and and then people are honking. It's always a nice way to start your vacation.
It's like you're stuck in the middle of the highway.
But I thought, when we were growing up, if your car stalled, there's an issue. There's a problem. If
It's
the
as
car
if-
stopped for no reason,
Yeah. It's as if it just shut off.
it did, and it would do it, and it wouldn't. And I couldn't figure out the pattern because it didn't do it all the time.
No.
So whatever it's programmed to do, it's evaluating its fuel consumption, perhaps. I
Or
don't know, and then
taking in
saying,
the
okay, it's
air.
time to turn it off. And then when you take your foot off the brake, it starts up again. But then you said, gee, when we were growing up, the theory was, or the understanding was, anytime you start your car, it uses more gas than if you had it idle.
That it
But I
was
guess with
more
these electronic ignitions, that's not
Yeah.
the case anymore.
I thought it was more economical to just let it idle,
Yeah.
not shut it off and turn it on over and over.
But we had my father. We had two Ford Pintos. We had a mustard-colored Ford Pinto, 1970 or 71 Ford Pinto, and then he bought a Ford Pinto station wagon
Oh.
that had the wood grain on the side.
Oh, sure. I remember those.
But I saw on the somewhere I was reading that they were listing the most dangerous cars of each decade, and the most dangerous car of the 1970s was the Ford Pinto, because they would blow up.
I thought
If you got hit in the back, it would crack the gas tank, and the car would explode.
you're lucky to be sitting here today.
But remember, you used to have to push the gas pedal down before you started to get the gas in the
To get it
moving.
moving,
Yeah.
generated.
But I remember when the Ford Pinto came out, and that's why my father bought it in 1970. It was advertised as $1,995, $1,995.
Yes.
Get your Ford Pinto
Today
for
that would be a deposit
$1995.
on something.
Can't even buy a bike for $1995.
I wonder what this Titan is. I'm
It's a
going to
Nissan.
look it up.
No, it's a Nissan.
Oh, sure, but I mean the cost of something.
Oh.
I mean 20, 30,000.
Oh yeah, I looked up that Dodge Durango that we were driving. It was $50,000. The car, if you bought it new,
Oh,
had all
my
the
goodness.
gizmos and gadgets in it.
Yes.
But it was a big vehicle. We probably were very safe driving on those freeways.
Oh, sure.
And you had but the issue was getting in and out. The first time I got out of it, my feet wouldn't. They're hanging out. So they don't touch the ground.
Felt like a little child, the legs are swinging there.
Yeah, because
my
we're
goodness.
just not big people.
Well, this one, so here I am now in a rental vehicle, and I had enough with all my warning lights going on in my own car. The the warning light comes on.
Oh,
I
on,
thought
on your pickup?
yes, I said, I've been in this 2 hours and there's a warning light. Well, the one of the tires needed air, but it actually then, a picture came up on the screen, 'cause I have an older car, and it showed which tire, and it actually gave you the level
Oh, yeah, mine does
of
that.
PSI for each, and
Yeah.
this one was 31 where it's supposed to be 39.
My car does that.
Oh, well, I was very impressed. It's a smart car.
Not like that car we had out there. That car had everything in it. That Durango, that had even the Waze would come up and
It would talk to
would
you.
talk to you. Just decided when it was going to start and stop on its own. And then we saw, of course, out there you see more of the self-driving vehicles.
Yes.
And they test them out in Phoenix. I guess because there's just more space.
And just straight, flat
Yeah, the
driving.
roads, it's like north, south, east, west. That's everything's within a square block. You know, you just kind of there's no zigzag or.
Curvatures
Yeah.
in the streets. Yeah.
And they were saying that they were testing out there self-driving Uber. Like you
Yes.
could call for a ride, and this car would just come pick you up, and,
And
there's
there'd
no
be
driver
nobody in it.
Who would
Yeah.
get in that?
I'll trust
I
that.
wouldn't get in that, but people are doing it.
I know.
People
was
are
on the
doing It was
news.
on the news that you can get, and you can request a self-driving car.
So you don't have to talk to anyone.
It just takes you around and knows where to go, where to pick you up, and where to drop you off. But
Boy.
I don't think I would trust those things at this point.
It's really a twilight zone.
It really
isn't
is. And out there, of course,
Jetsons.
it's all big Super Bowl mania out in Phoenix right now. So.
Oh, it was so exciting and getting even more exciting. I'm looking forward to. Did you say Saturday night they were going to do a
Saturday
feature?
night on one of the Philadelphia stations, I think Channel 17, from 6 to 9, they're going to have like a 3-hour tailgate. And they're going to go to all just Phoenix, just things to do in Phoenix.
That'll
what
be
to do
fun
in
because we
Phoenix.
just left there.
Yeah, we know what to do.
Oh, I can do a tailgate now. I've got this big
You can.
pickup truck.
We can tell. I was thinking we have our Super Bowl party, you and I, on Sunday. I was thinking I was going to make some hors d'oeuvres.
Okay.
So I'll make some nice Super Bowl hors d'oeuvres for our Super Bowl party.
Sure, because then it's Lent,
Lent is, what is it? Not next Wednesday,
the following
Wednesday.
22nd.
22nd. Yeah. And then we start. No, well, you can start fasting,
start.
prepare, kind of a prelude, a prelude to Lent.
Yeah, because we kind of overdid it in Phoenix, but I made up for it with all my hiking.
Yeah, you
My
hike.
friends, Cheryl did not fall down.
No,
Nor did she get lost in the desert.
no, and the walking sticks that I bought you, that came in handy.
And life-changing was a pair of hiking boots that I got. That was really transformative. I went for miles.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with that I don't understand is out there, I mean, I can walk for hours and hours and I come back, I'm not tired, well, maybe a little tired, but I'm not sore. I get up the next morning just ready to go do it again. But here, I don't.
I think it's the weather, the dry climate.
Yeah, I didn't have one single ache or pain
No,
or muscle.
me either.
Anything.
But my mother used to say that the dry air they would send people who had emphysema or arthritis and tell them to go to the Southwest because the air was so dry. But that's my mom. She also said the cats would suck the air out of babies. So
Got to take it with a grain of salt. But I do think that, the humidity level here, it just causes that inflammation of the joints.
yeah, I would imagine. People say they can tell when it's going to rain because their shoulders or their joints
Their
ache
knees ache or something. Right.
from the humidity. Possible. You also found a lot of shell casings there.
Oh, yeah. People just must shoot randomly down the street.
It is like the Wild West.
It pretty much is. Yeah.
But the pièce de résistance for us is always going out to the monastery, going out to Our Lady of Solitude,
So peaceful.
the desert nuns.
Just
Beautiful out
so
there.
Peaceful.
Yeah, and there's what we count five nuns,
5, yes.
5 nuns, and they're cloistered, so they're behind the grate. They're
They pray and you hear them singing.
mm-hmm.
And it's just takes you away. It's really where heaven meets earth, I have to say.
And they do offer retreats.
Eh?
And I don't know if it's formal retreats or just individual retreats for only religious. I'm not quite sure. I didn't really couldn't into it, but
You
there
want to
are
look up,
quarters.
if you want to read about them, they're the Desert Nuns.
Yeah, Our Lady.
www.desertnuns.
Oh, that's their website, desertnuns.com or .org.
.org, probably.
Our Lady of Solitude Monastery. And
It is indeed a beautiful getaway.
it is like an oasis in the desert when you're driving out. First of all, you're driving around on these dirt roads for 6 miles, dusty roads, and all of a sudden in the distance you see the top of
dome.
the dome of the little chapel.
And it's looming in the
Yeah,
distance.
yeah.
But it's 6 miles of dirt road off of the main road, which is not a big highway. It's just a two-lane road.
Oh, Interstate 10. It's a little.
Well,
better than that.
after that, though, we got off on those little side
Yeah,
roads.
yeah. Then you get into the dirt, the dust, and the rattlesnakes.
You have to keep your windows closed. You just be coughing up dust.
Yeah, it's funny
And
because
they take their time. I mean, I felt like our pace was, okay,
a
let's
little
calm
rush.
down
Yeah,
with the prayers, and
very, very deliberate.
there was silence, there was space. You had time to absorb and meditate. But even at that, I'm thinking, wow, I wonder how long Mass was with all that deliberate praying. It was an hour, maybe 55 minutes. It was not over an hour, but the pace just seemed so relaxed and mindful.
Yeah, and it's Mother Angelica's order, so they're wearing Mother's habit, And there's
You could
They've been
just
out
about
there.
see them behind the grate.
yeah, they've been out there for a few years. I think many
Maybe
years, a
5.
few years ago, we had one of them on because every March they have what they call the nun run. One of the nuns there is a runner, and they have in Tempe, so they let her out of the monastery to go do this run and earn money for the order.
They raised money for
Yeah,
Well, they were building that monastery and
yeah.
a place to live. At first, they had a convent, a small house across the parking lot, but now they're attached to
Now
the
it's attached to the
church
chapel.
itself.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. It's always worth. It's only about an hour outside of Phoenix.
Right.
Not-
It's
not
nothing.
far,
And it's
yeah.
so scenic and it's so beautiful. The mountains in the distance.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and pure desert. Which probably where they are, it doesn't get that. I mean, it gets hot, of course, especially in the summer, but it doesn't stay hot when the sun goes down.
there's none of the concrete.
Right.
You
That's
don't
the
have
problem.
Cars, traffic, buildings.
That's the
No.
problem with building it up the way they did in the city is that all the asphalt and concrete absorbs the heat. So when the sun goes down, the heat is still there. But in true desert climate, it's hot, but when the sun goes down, the heat goes away because
Right,
there's no
right.
sun.
So their temperatures have increased within city limits,
Yeah.
within the city proper, where in the summers, 110, 115 is not out of the ordinary, and it'll stay like that for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we lived through it for 3
We
years.
did. I'll tell you, though, in all honesty, I would retire there. I know you're not crazy.
Well, no,
about
I'm not
that.
crazy. I'm not crazy. I remember just feeling, we were there for 3 years, and I remember feeling landlocked.
We do love the beach.
We used to drive to San Diego to go to the beach, and that was
I know,
about
it's
7
like
hours.
5 hours. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that was a hike. But and then I also remember again the heat. It's just the opposite of here. In the summertime, nobody's outside,
Right.
Because it's just too hot. So they stay in their in their homes or even the pool. We had a pool when we lived there, and the pool water would reach 90 degrees at night.
Right. It was like a hot
like a
tub.
bathtub. Yeah, but many people do retire out there. I see a lot of.
Yes.
In fact, you see, we've been watching the news here, and a lot of Philadelphia transplants. A lot of people from Philadelphia who live
Yes.
out there now who are excited
Yes.
about the Super Bowl.
Well, that's another thing. When we lived there, we really didn't meet a lot of native Phoenicians. They were, well, I'm from Minnesota and I moved
Yeah, they
there.
would say I'm
They
from
were
back east. They'd say Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's back east. That's the Midwest.
So, but it is beautiful. I'll tell you, if you're ever looking for a peaceful, beautiful place, and when I go out and I walk that desert, I'm looking at this landscape that's probably been that way for thousands of years. The
Yeah.
same
Well, you said that
rocks.
you
the
go
same-
somewhere where there was the Indian hieroglyphics or whatever.
Yes, the petroglyphs, if you're
petroglyphs.
into archaeology and a little bit of Indian history.
Mm-hmm.
And you could take those hikes and look at the rocks and see the pictographs that are been there also since, they first settled.
It is a nice vacation, but you have to go in February or January.
Do not go in
Don't
the
go
summer.
in July.
heed this warning.
It's
Yeah.
just a little bit too
They
hot.
actually have, and you could go to phoenix.org or something, those travel sites, and they show you the year's calendar of different things. In March, they've got the Arabian Horse Show or whatever this is. But in the summer, in July, there's an egg frying contest
Oh,
downtown. They actually
On the
have.
sidewalk.
Yep.
That's how hot it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
can be done.
The hottest I ever saw it when we lived there, and I was at work, but I had to go out for something, and the bank the thermometer said it was June, the end of June, and the bank thermometer said 122.
Yes. Yeah. No
It's the
joke.
hottest.
But it was a dry heat.
A dry heat, yeah. So as someone once said, so is fire.
Well, I knew somebody from my choir from my previous position. Her doctor prescribed, suggested, encouraged her to move out there, and she did. If you remember Marie Keys.
Oh, yeah.
Because she had whatever her health situation was, the best place you could be is the arid desert,
Yeah,
and she moved to Sun City.
Sun City, yeah. All right, we'll take a break, and we're going to come back and be joined by Kathleen Brady. She's from St. Rose Parish in Belmar to talk about the Women's Welcome Retreat. So stay where you are, friends. There's more to come right here on Friday Live. Don't go away.
We are women of grace round the throne of the Lord Most High, and we lift up our praise from the depths of our souls. Hear our cry, oh Lamb of God, it is our one desire to seek your holy face, to be women of grace. We are women of grace round the throne of the Lord Most High, and we lift up our praise from the depths of our souls. Hear our cry, oh Lamb of God, it is our one desire to seek your holy face, to be women of grace. We'll shout with joy from the mountaintop as we enter your courts with praise. All that we do, Lord, we offer to you, Lord. Hear us as we pray. We are women of grace round the throne of the Lord Most High, and we lift up our praise from the depths of our souls. Hear our cry, oh Lamb of God, it is our one desire to seek your holy face, to be women of grace. We'll shout with joy from the mountaintop as we enter your courts with praise. All that we do, Lord, we offer to you, Lord. Hear us as we pray. We are women of grace round the throne of the Lord Most High. Holy, holy Lord God Almighty. And we lift up our praise from the depths of our souls. Hear our cry. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh Lamb of God, it is our one desire to seek your holy face. We are women of grace round the throne of the Lord Most High, and we lift up our praise from the depths of our souls. Hear our cry,
Oh, welcome back. Caught me a little off guard there.
Yeah.
The Women's Welcome Retreat is being held at St. Rose Parish in Belmar Saturday, February 25th at 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the theme is Companions in Faith, walking together towards God. And we want to welcome to the program Kathleen Brady from St. Rose Parish, who's going to tell us all about it. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm so happy to promote this wonderful retreat day for women.
Is this the first time you're running this retreat there at St. Rose?
Actually, this is our second time. We ran it last year for the first time, which was not without its challenges, just coming off the heels of COVID. But this session will be live, held at St. Rose, our parish center, bringing women together. So we're excited to have the second round. We've worked out all the kinks.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, that was probably a good trial and error time, during COVID, and not as many participants maybe, or a little bit of online type of stuff. So now you're really ready to tackle the full program.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
That's okay.
Is this a group at the parish itself, the Women's Welcome Group? Is it an organization that runs it, or is it just the retreat itself?
It is a group that runs it. It is we form a formation group the year before, so there's a whole year in preparation for this retreat where we bring a group of women together to discuss their own faith and for them to grow, and it culminates in this retreat that they're all a part of the retreat, as well as then we have additional participants that we invite. But the year of preparation allows for those women to grow in their faith and then be able to give witness talks that inspire others. And hopefully what came out of last year's retreat was the second formation group. So now there was another group of women who came together, and they're going to be leading this retreat. And hopefully out of this retreat will come another group of volunteers to go through the year-long process, and it keeps building on itself.
Oh, that's wonderful. And tell us a little bit about what someone might expect. So obviously you're looking to bring together women to share and to grow in their faith, but they can be we're all at various stages. At the beginning of our faith journey, we're just exploring, or there's those that are, part of that core group that are really deeply rooted. Is there something for everyone?
There's absolutely something for everyone, and I think that is sort of the brilliance of Matthew Kelly program. This is based on, Matthew Kelly is from Dynamic Catholic, as I'm sure your listeners all know, and he tries to take our faith practices and break them down in such a way that no matter where you are in your journey, you say to yourself, I can do that. So even if you're somebody who doesn't even pray on a regular basis, or you're the kind of person who goes to Holy Hour every week, there's something for everybody. And as we talk about it, for people to go, well, yeah, I could spend 3 to 5 minutes a day reading the daily gospel and just spending a couple minutes thinking about that. Or I could pause during the course of my day when I'm being annoyed by somebody to just offer it up to God. Just those little changes, the things that allow people to be more intentional about building a relationship with God. It just grows on itself. And so the interesting thing often is, even with the formation group, at some moment as we're going through that process, people will say, I don't really belong here because, gee, I'm not as far along in my faith journey, or I'm so much further along than everybody else. And everybody has that moment, I think, but we talk about it. We talk about God accepts us wherever we are, and we accept each other wherever we are. And I think those who have been practicing Catholics for their whole life learn so much from people who have doubts and questions. And the people, obviously, who have doubts and questions learn from people where their faith comes from and how they address some of those issues. So it's such a lovely, accepting place to be, to explore your faith wherever you are.
How about as far as age groups go, Kathleen? You might have younger women there and older women. Is there something that is special that would kind of unite these age groups and say, we're all in the same place, even though we may be years apart in age, and one can learn from the other?
No, I suppose it's the relationship with Jesus, and that's the thing that it doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
And I think they're one of the challenges I think some of the younger women have is the balancing even to get away to come to an event like this because how do I get childcare and all of that? So finding a way to sort of address some of those issues. And again, it's just wherever you're at. There's a group of women who want to support each other and find ways that we can make room and space for God.
Yeah.
I think that everybody's searching for it. Nobody knows
Right.
how to find it.
Right.
And even those who are further along in their faith journey, they're hungry. They want more.
Right.
So it's and sometimes that wanting more, the best way to get more is to give. So they can that shared experience just allows them to grow and blossom as well.
Oh, that's true.
We're talking with Kathleen Brady about the Women's Welcome Retreat that's going to be taking place at St. Rose Parish in Belmar on Saturday, February 25th from 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. And a little later on, we'll give you information, friends, how you can find out about it and participate. Give us a little bit. That's from 8:30 to 8 p.m. That's a nice chunk of time. So tell us a little bit about what women can expect when they come to the event.
I laughed when I first heard it too. I was like, wow, that's a long time. I don't know if I want to do that. The day goes so quickly because you walk in, there is always food. We feed you three meals throughout this process.
And the men cook it. Men cook it, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The husbands are in the kitchen with aprons on.
Well, exactly. And the purpose is, 12 hours is all that you, not that much time out of your life, and it's a great little retreat to step away and
Yes.
just close out all the noise and the responsibilities and all of that stuff just for yourself. So you come, you're greeted. We have witness talks. People talk about their experience, their shared experience, and then there's conversations at the tables so people can explore what they heard and what it meant to them and their impact. We will do an examine for folks, sort of lead them through that visualization on what does it mean to be a companion in faith? What does it mean to you? And again, just sort of sitting in that classroom of silence, trying to just get in touch with what do you even think about this, and just kind of giving people some structure and just some white space in their life to think about these issues.
Right.
And as I said, and then, we explore, there'll be an opportunity for reconciliation, and then we go to 5 o'clock Mass as a group together, and then we come back and we have a little surprise which I won't reveal here, which is something that is just such a feel-good moment for people at the end. And there's music and laughter and hugs and tears, and it's just such a rewarding. It could be a life-changing experience for people.
I'm sure.
Just to build that.
And then you talk, there are the meals and probably a little break here, go grab a little coffee or water and we'll get back to it. And the day would go. And I think the first step is that disconnecting from the noisy world. My goodness, 12 hours. And as you say, you can sit there, you have time to think, to discuss, to ponder, to meditate. Whereas if you're at Mass on the weekend, 1 hour and you hear something in the homily, but then Mass moves on and there's the prayers and sit, stand, kneel and sing and all that. So here you can really just stretch the time out and pick things apart and have time to dissolve them, and as you say, the fellowship too, the bonding with other women, there's always something to be gained, even if you are so far along in your journey. When you hear someone that's just starting and they're full of questions, you're helping them, and you can think back to when you were at that point. There's always a chance for self-discovery.
The other thing that I think it really does is helps to build your parish community. There's something now about, walking into Mass and not just knowing somebody because you know their face and you just wave and you're, hi, how you doing? You've heard their story. You've shared their struggles. You've wiped away their tears.
Yes.
They've wiped away yours. And so there is just this sense of community that it helps to just foster within the church, and just kind of to remind all of us we are the church, as individuals, and that's being there to be supportive of each other. We're all on this journey together.
Right.
That's right. Again, friends, we're talking with Kathleen Brady about the Women's Welcome Retreat taking place at St. Rose Parish in Belmar, New Jersey, February 25th, 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Kathleen, so let our listeners know how they can find out more about it and how they can register to attend.
Yeah, we would love for them to contact our Kimberly, and her email address is kimwoodnj@hotmail.com. And just so that's, again, kimwoodnj@hotmail.com. And she will send all of the information. It's all in you're a St. Rose parishioner, that it's in our bulletin. You could certainly look up our bulletin on the website, and there's all the information there as well. But Kimberly, interestingly, is one of the women who came to us through the RCIA program.
Oh.
So I think I learned more from Kimberly as the newest Catholic in the group than I have learned over the years about my faith. And because she chose to be there, and she really did that deep dive study, as opposed to some of us who kind of came along. I always jokingly refer to myself as sort of the cultural Catholic, kind of go through the motions without necessarily thinking about it. Until you start going to retreats and things like that, where you think, why do we believe that? Why do I go through that ritual? What does that really mean? And how is it? And once you start doing that deep dive, but Kim has been fabulous in terms of helping those of us who've been around for a long time really rethink and kind of focus, and offers a great perspective. So everybody belongs. That's the beauty of this.
So that's Kim Wood, NJ, as in New Jersey, at hotmail.com. Kim Wood, NJ, at hotmail.com. And friends, you can email her, and she'll send you all the information you need.
And once again, the retreat is at St. Rose Parish in Belmar, a beautiful location, beautiful church and grounds and facilities. And that's Saturday, February 25th, starting at 8:30 a.m., a full day. And that's the first weekend of Lent. So again, people have it on their radar. What am I going to do for Lent? How can I try to encounter Christ and be more intentional about my faith? So here's a great opportunity, my friends.
Yep. And we are so happy to have people come from all the neighboring parishes, just to build that sense of community and support for each other.
That's great. And I think that same day over at St. Greg's here in Hamilton is the men's conference. So you can send your men over there, and the ladies can go over to St. Rose.
Oh, what a perfect day.
Right?
Perfect weekend for all.
That's right. And then they come back that night, and everybody's just rejuvenated in the faith.
And meanwhile, the kids have burned down the house.
No. But, it's funny. I think it is important to really, really encourage, especially the younger women. We're all trying to reach out to the younger generations, who maybe because of cultural things and other allurements, have stepped away from the church. But to really understand, especially young women these days, to get active and get involved. And this is a perfect opportunity, as Cheryl said, to start your Lenten journey, to do something different and open up your heart to what the Lord may be calling you to. So,
and we need our parishes. We need all the people there as a second family for support. And we all learned that all too well over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. So do invite someone to go with you and have this experience.
So we want to thank Kathleen Brady. The Women's Welcome Retreat, again, friends, is Saturday, February 25th, 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. at St. Rose Parish in Belmar. For more information, you can email kimwoodnj@hotmail.com. That's Kim Wood, just like it sounds, KIMWOODNJ, as in New Jersey, hotmail@hotmail.com for more information. Kathleen, we want to thank you for being with us today, and thank you for all the good work you do. And we know it's going to be a very blessed day for everybody who attends that event on the 25th of February.
Thanks so much for helping us promote our event. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
you're welcome, Kathleen. All good things to you.
God bless you.
Bye now.
God
Thank
bless.
you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, friends, stay where you are. I'm going to be back in just a little bit. Don't go away. More to come.
It started like it does for many people. Question my faith and question authority. And I feel that the reason why I left was the draw of the world. The world was pulling me away. Some people would say, Satan was working on me. He did not want me in church. He wanted me to be desperate. He wanted me to have the thoughts of suicide. I started to realize that a lot of the things that I had experienced in my life were a result of my rebellion against God and against authority. Coming back to the church is the first step in healing from all of the hurts of the world. I went from being desperate and in despair to finding hope and encouragement for the future. I'm on God's team. I know who I belong to, and I know where I'm going, and there's nothing that can separate me from God's love.
Take another look at the Catholic Church. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
Father Benedict Groeschel.
There are legitimate differences of opinion in any religion. There are differences of opinion in Catholicism. But in Catholicism, you expect that people will take the teaching of its supreme authority seriously. To go diametrically opposed to those teachings is to not be a Catholic. Someone in the name of Catholicism is sponsoring the destruction of human life, lives of unborn children. And they got the name Catholic on the door. The highest authority in Catholicism and the encyclical Humanae Vitae, Evangelium Vitae, is absolutely clear that no Catholic can support abortion and that Catholics are responsible to take serious action against legalized abortion.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Catholic monasteries are centered around a rhythm of life they call ora et labora, prayer and work, and they keep a strict schedule to preserve that rhythm. If a monk is writing a book and the monastery bell rings for prayer, he'll drop his pen mid-sentence and go to prayer. It's a poverty of spirit with time. Lord, my moments aren't mine, they're yours. You know, that same poverty is in your life. When the kid cries for a diaper change, that's your monastery bell. When it's time to pause and pray, stop thinking about what you got to do next. It's always going to be there. Just pray. You got to work overtime? Do it. Whining doesn't change a thing. When it's time to go home, drop that pen mid-sentence, stop checking your email, and focus on your family. You're in a schedule you can't fully control, but when you get intentional about focusing on where you are, offering each moment to God as it comes, you still face the daily grind like anyone else, but unlike anyone else. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
What have you done for your marriage today? While you're thinking, here's what other people had to say.
My husband and my daughter and I went for a walk together.
Well, and it's going to be her birthday next week, so I've been spending time today making arrangements to make that extra special.
I called my wife on the phone and I told her, Sue, I love you. And I meant it.
I flirted with my husband like when we first got married.
I have carried my wife's purse.
What I have done for my marriage today is give my wife a break, take the kids out, have a good time so she can just relax.
I know I didn't fight.
What have I done for my marriage today? Wow. I don't know.
I cooked my husband's favorite breakfast.
I read the newspaper to my wife, and it cracked her up.
What have I done? I'm actually giving my wife the rest of the day off from me. She's going to visit with her girlfriend.
What have you done for your marriage today? Try something new to make yours great. For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org, a message from the Catholic Communication Campaign.
Okay, well, we'll come back a couple more minutes here before we have to head on out and start our weekend, a big weekend in this area, I guess because of the Super Bowl.
Right.
The local team playing. We have a lot of Eagle fans, I'm sure, tuned in.
You know, South Central Jersey, if you kind of lean towards that side of the state there, closer to Philadelphia, you could be an Eagles fan.
And the dividing line is 195, they say.
Is that right?
It's north of 195, it's like Giants and Jets, and south of 195, it's Eagles.
Okay.
Yankees and Mets north, and Phillies
so
south.
I spoke with a gentleman that works at the church, and he said he's, of course, rooting for the Eagles. He goes, I'm really a Giants fan, but, you know, it's East Coast now. So He's excited about the Eagles.
I never really got excited about football personally. I was in baseball, but they turned the Super Bowl into like this holiday.
It's a whole week. And to the point you say holiday, there are schools that have a delayed opening to allow the children, I think more so to allow the teachers, to stay up and have their gathering and watch the game. So what time, because of the time change, is it making it later?
I don't know. I don't know what time
No idea. We're going to be too busy
But I
eating
know
here.
that Notre Dame High School right here, the bishop gave them a bishop's holiday on Monday. The kids got to choose, and they chose that day because it's the day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They think they do that every year. They choose the day after the Super Bowl for their bishop's holiday.
Wow.
So.
Well, you know what? Let them have fun.
I think we've only been to one Super Bowl. I can only remember going to one Super Bowl party.
But it was more like an anti-Super Bowl party, wasn't it? Was that somebody in your family
Oh,
where they didn't
Diane,
even turn
my
on the
sister,
game?
my
We had
sister.
all the food. We had all, but
But
we
we
didn't even watch.
went to an actual Super Bowl party at Brian and Susan's house that time.
Oh, that's right. The game was on.
And I went to one many when I was singing at Mamie O'Rourke's. That's how long that is. Someone had a Super Bowl party, and the TV was on somewhere, and nobody was really
It
watching
wasn't the issue. Yeah, it wasn't the
So
point.
they turned it into
Just an
a
excuse.
holiday.
But to the point where it's an entire week. I mean, we were there.
Yeah, in Phoenix.
And they were already every night on the news they had the Super Bowl experience, and you take your kids and they could, I don't know,
Yeah,
all this interactive
kick field
stuff
goals and throw passes and
get pictures taken
Yeah.
and all
Rock
sorts of
climbing.
rides, and it's like a week-long event.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember that, but again, I probably never paid much attention to it.
No,
Yeah.
well,
It
we were
wasn't
never
a
really in the
football.
town. We were never really in the town where the Super Bowl was being held, as we were this past few weeks.
So maybe
So
just
it's different.
oblivious.
But here in Philadelphia, of course, it's a big deal. But if there wasn't a local team, it wouldn't be that big a deal. Obviously,
The
we hear it
funny
on the
thing
news
is,
every night.
They say that, well, if they lose, the city's going to get burned down. But if they win, the city's going to get burned down.
They're already greasing the polls.
You know, their reaction is like a little over the top. Just calm down.
I'm not quite sure. It's
Yeah.
not
Celebrate
really,
the win. You don't have to leave.
with the World Series in baseball, it's like a 7-game event, and it's a little stretched out over a couple weeks. But
And
anyway,
then there's a ticker tape parade, right? Nice and clean.
for the winner, that's right. So, however you're spending your Super Bowl Sunday weekend or Super Bowl Sunday, enjoy it and be careful. Remember, first of all, though, go to Mass. It is Sunday. No, before you start tailgating. And we'll be back next Friday. So have a great rest of your weekend, friends.
Thanks for tuning in. God bless you.